Easy to take along.
It is now 7:38. Jackie Collins has written 10 novels, and it seems that every time she puts pen to paper, she comes up with another bestseller. She has over 60 million books in print, and it took just 2 weeks for her latest novel, Lucky, to become #1 on the bestseller list. Jackie Collins now lives in Beverly Hills, one of the settings for her most popular novel, Hollywood Wives, and she's joining us from Los Angeles this morning. And good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Joan. Nice to see you, too.
All right, you're at that point where your name appears on the jacket cover in bigger print than the name of the book. What does someone get when they buy a Jackie Collins book?
Well, I hope that they get a really good visual trip. I want them to pick up a book like Lucky, and I want them to have fun with it. And I think that they do. I think that what has happened is that people, when they read my books now, know they're going to be entertained. And my biggest critics, of course, are the people who have never read me. They say, oh, you know, Jackie Collins, The Wall Street Journal said about Lucky, oh, this book is embarrassing to pick up, but impossible to put down. So I think that kind of sums it up in a way, people who haven't read me.
All right, you have been shocking people ever since your very first novel. Tell us, describe the people and the situations that we would find in your novels.
Well, I think in Lucky, it's the story of the Santangelos. I started their story in a book called Chances.
That's right.
And I got so many letters from people who said, we have to know what happens to the Santangelo family next. And it was kind of my early Harold Robbins book. It was the street kid who kind of makes it to the top in New York. And then I thought, I'm going to give him a daughter, and she's going to be just like Daddy. And so Lucky Santangelo was born. And I thought, well, I really have to take this character further, because in the end of Chances, they were both sitting atop their 2 hotels in Las Vegas. And I wanted to write a very strong, positive woman of the 80s, because when I was growing up, I was always reading these books, and the women were in the bedroom or the kitchen. They were in position. And I wanted to write a woman who had no boundaries, who was an exciting woman. And the response I've had from people who've read Lucky, they love her. They think she's a terrific character. She's like a role model for women. She gets out there and she does it.
You dropped out of school when you were 15 and tried being an actress for a while. What made you decide, what made you know that you wanted to be a writer?
I never really considered myself an actress. I considered myself an out-of-work writer who was gaining all this wonderful research. So I knew that when I wrote, I would have so much to write about, because I really knew the film industry inside out, and I saw it from a very interesting position. I could be an observer all the time, and I've been doing that ever since, going to Hollywood parties, sitting in the background, watching what goes on. And I think a lot of people feel that a book like Hollywood Wives, well, they say I could have written that. A lot of Hollywood women do. I don't think they could have done, because it's a very accurate picture of Hollywood. And, you know, everybody thinks they can write a book, but you have to be a real storyteller to sit down and do it, because it's a lot of hard work. And I love what I do. I really love it.
You have a different style, too. I mean, it's the short spurts, the short sentences. Some people have called it like writing in hiccups.
Yes, they say Hemingway with hiccups. Anyway, I'm compared to Hemingway, I don't mind. I think that's part of the immediacy of the way that I write. I don't plot and plan. I just sit down with my characters, and I think, now, what would Lucky Santangelo do today? And she takes me on the trip. I sit down and my characters do all these kind of things, and fortunately, it falls into place like a jigsaw puzzle. I'm very lucky in that respect, that I don't tell the characters what to do, they tell me what to do. So the book just kind of speeds along, and that's my style. So I think that people like that, because they pick up the book, and a lot of people say they can't put it down.
It sounds like you have so much fun when you do it, and I just wonder if now that you've become so big, there's so much pressure on that the next one's got to be great also, if that affects you when you sit down at that typewriter.
I think if I was writing with the thought, oh, you know, this is going to be published, this is going to be out there, and a lot of people are going to be buying it, I would feel that pressure. And a rock star said to me once, he said, you know, I had this big hit album, and now, you know, everybody says the next one has got to be better. But when I'm sitting at my desk, I'm really writing for myself. It's great that I'm successful. I really enjoy that, and I love the fact that so many people buy my books. But basically, I'm writing for myself, so the pressure is not there when I'm sitting alone with that pad, with that pen, and I'm just creating characters and having fun.
I guess as long as you're having fun doing it yourself, that's probably one of the keys. It's nice to see you again. Thank you very much.
It's nice to see you. Thank you, Joan. It was lovely talking to you.
Good luck with Lucky.
Thanks.
And tomorrow, another top-selling author, and certainly an appropriate